Whoopsies! Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm going to be explaining how to defeat the Shrike in Dauntless. And it's also this guide kind of video also includes the Skraev, basically the ice thing, the ice Shrike. So, anyways, first the Shrike's attacks. I don't know what that is. Anyways, first of all, he uses his first attack that I'd like to show is the tornado attack. So he charges there, and then he jumps up, he flies, and he uses the tornado, which can go up, which can fly up and above ledges like this. Like, let's say there's a cliff, and he's saying the tornado can just go up the cliff. It's just as, and it does pretty good amount of damage. You can't see because I ended the clip too fast, but yeah, that's his first attack. Just does damage to you. It doesn't launch you into the air or anything. I definitely wouldn't recommend taking it, but yeah, that's his first. This is one of his attacks, and this is also the swipe attack. So basically, yeah, he goes on his two legs and he stands upright and he swipes at you and moves forward. He either does just one attack, just one swing, or he does 1, 2, 3, 4 while walking around towards you, trying to swipe at you. That was a swipe attack. Now his scream attack. See right there, for some reason my clip lagged. Anyways, yeah, that was his scream attack. He's on his all fours and he and I'm pretty sure that just knocks you to the ground. Doesn't do a lot of damage, just knocks to the ground. And then his oops, nope, this wasn't one of his attacks. Part section of the video. Next section of the video, and then now his jump land attack, as I like to call it. He jumps up and then he lands. Pretty simple, but it's annoying. And he can also turn midair, so you just want to dodge at the correct moment to get rid of it. And one of my clips got corrupted. Yay. This is blue energy and jump land attack. Or so you missed that. Okay. Blue. This jump land attack I just used. I forgot that I already had a jump land attack, so yeah, so watch closely. That's one of his attacks. Yeah, those are basically the Shrike's attack. Why did I forget to get a clip of him just regularly attacking? Anyways, his other attack is, let's see if I can find it here. He flies at you. Come on. Hold on, I'm gonna end the video here, see when he flies at you. Okay, so this is his scratchy leg attack, or not the scratchy leg attack, the flying at you attack. Like that, exactly like that. He flies at you, literally. So what the attack is. Yeah, that's his fly attack, and yeah, those are all his attacks. So on to the next part of the video. How to beat him, or what I recommend. So the two weapons I'd recommend using on this guy are the war pike and the axe. If you're not a fan of repeaters, repeaters basically work on anything. So they take skill to use, but not as much as something as the axe or the hammer. Oh yeah, that's right, hammer, war pike, and axe. Because if you read the hint in Dauntless, when the Shrike is flying in the air, if you use a heavy attack on him, then he falls to the ground and he stays there for like 20 seconds while you can just get blows on him. So yeah, the only heavy attacks in the game, I believe, that can knock the Shrike down is the axe's overhead swing attack. When you press Q to throw the axe, then you press Q to recall it. That overhead slam is a heavy attack. So if you can do that to him while he's in midair, then he falls to the ground and then he hits it. I don't have any clips, or he falls to the ground, you can get hits on him. I don't have any clips of him attacking, or me using a heavy attack at the right moment, so just gonna have to take it for my word. So when he flies like that, like when you just saw us, fly attack, let's go back to 110. See if one of us had used a heavy attack. If I'd used that overhead slam attack while he was flying, then he would have fallen to the ground. But usually he doesn't fly that short. He usually goes long and then flies pretty, not like a pretty good distance that you can usually get a heavy attack off, like charge. I'd say he usually flies about how long it takes for you to charge to 3/4 of the way charge up a war pike. It's a war pike circle accuracy circle thing. That's how far I'd say he usually goes. And well, if you can use the heavy attack on him, then he falls to the ground and get hits on him. Heavy attacks are, like I said, the axe's overhead slam right there. The pike's ball shoot thing, that counts as a heavy attack. And then the hammer's right click charge shotgun attack, whatever you call that. I don't know which level you have to have charge the attack for it to work, but I do know that it works, at least if you get the thing for ammunition charged up. So that's what those are the weapons I recommend using against him. And then the repeaters, just like I said, the repeaters are good against anything. You can shoot them. There's no heavy attacks on the repeaters, like heavy yeah, there's no heavy attacks on the repeaters, so it doesn't count. There may be other heavy attacks, but those are the 3 most likely ways you're going to get a heavy attack off of them. Those may be only the 3, but if there's any more, you can use those. Yeah, that's how I would beat him. So, the next thing I wanted to talk about is the enraged mode of the Shrike and what parts to attack. So, his enraged mode, basically what happens is he just glows red. Hold on, let me pause it. He's like any other behemoth, except his animation, he goes on the floors and he points his head up and then screams, I believe, and boom, the red ball, he explodes in a red ball, or he doesn't explode, but a red aura thing explodes around him, and he's enraged. He's got this red glow from his eyes. Sadly, I didn't get any clips of his enraged mode. I'm stupid for that, but his enraged mode, his usual attack patterns are he charges at you a lot, and he flies at you a lot. Like he usually does 1 fly, 2 fly, 3 fly. It's how one dive attack, second dive attack, third dive attack. And then he goes on his ground and he charges at you. And his blue energy ball thing is also changed when he goes into that turns red. He's red, his thing turns red, and then he doesn't just attack once, he goes with that right arm, and then with his left arm he does this swipe, and a horizontal red energy thing comes out, and yeah, you gotta be ready for that, because it's 1, 2, and yes, and so you gotta dodge, or just run and hope you don't get hit. It's basically summary of his enraged mode, and now I'm going to talk about what parts to attack. So, for the Shrike, it doesn't really matter in what order you attack the parts, because if you break off any parts, it doesn't really change the gameplay. Or it doesn't at all, except for the fact that, you know, he stumbles backward, and screams at you, and then he continues attacking. And yeah, so it doesn't really matter what parts you attack, except for the fact that, you know, it's like all the regular behemoths. Once you break off a part from that one place, you're not going to be able to break it off again. So that's why I made this originally, because I wanted to show what it looks like when you've cut off all the parts off of him. Oh yeah, this is in rage mode. Hey. Bam. Okay, here he's not enraged. And so he's about to go enraged, I believe. See, look at his arm, look at his leg. That leg has been, actually no, that's like, that leg right there is like right before that is one of his parts is cut off. Then once his part is cut off, it's really scratchy. It's like you see there's this white, you know, all his fur is cut off. It's not like his entire leg is bare. There's like 3 really big patches of fur that's been cut off, and then big scratches. So yeah, this is enraged mode. Yeah, if I'd used that axe time quicker, then I would have hit him and he would have gone to the ground. Okay, so he usually does 4 dive attacks. Forgive me. And yeah, you gotta, if you're hitting the leg, it looks really scratchy, and it's only giving you white damage and not yellow damage. Then you're not doing, then that part's already cut off. And in case you didn't know, that part damage is yellow damage. It's not like you're doing critical hits or anything like that. It's you're not like doing double damage. You're just doing part damage, which is the parts are what you need to create his weapons and his armor. The weapons that are based off him and the armor that is based off him. So you want to try to cut off all the parts. He has, I believe, 2 parts on his head, one on his left, one on his right. He has a part on his. He has 1 part on his left arm, 1 part on his right arm, 1 part on his left leg, 1 part on his right leg. He has a part on his tail, and then I believe he has a part on his belly around here, around this area. And it doesn't really matter what order you want to cut them off, as opposed to, like, you know, the Gnasher, where you want to shoot the tail, and then the tail falls off, or like the Helion, where again you want to shoot the tail, and then part of his tail falls off. It's not like that. You just attack him, try to get all the parts off, but it doesn't really help you, except for the fact that you get more stuff to upgrade your weapon, or your weapons, or create your weapons and armor. So yeah, that's basically his enraged mode and his parts. So I got into Dauntless to show off his armor, the Shrike's armor and the Shrike's weapon. So his armor, I'd only really use when I'm fighting neutral things, I only use the helmet and the chest plate, just because they're the only ones that are worth it, in my opinion. And when I'm fighting quill shots, currently I don't use the chest plate, because the 9th lives, the Gnasher chest plate has a defense cell, which the Shrike chest plate does not. And the defense cells, you know, where you can equip the 9th life cell, the best cell, the best defense cell in the game is probably the only one you should use. Seriously, when I say that, try to get as many 9th life cell as possible at high purple power rank as possible. I don't know, are there legendary cells? I want to know. Anyway, so Shrike increases dodge invulnerability windows by 14%. Pretty good. And then increases dodge and vulnerability windows by 14%. So I would take it. I use these when I'm fighting Shrikes or Nashers, and I wouldn't really use the gloves. +5 stagger damage on hit. Well, yeah, true. It is more when you upgrade it to maxed, probably around 10 or maybe 15 even, but not worth it in my opinion, as opposed to these things, 10% damage versus Enraged Behemoths. So I guess it'd actually be good against if you're using an axe or hammer. Axe or hammer, I guess these would be better. And so yeah, I guess if your playstyle is more like you can't dodge, you're not good at dodging, I guess you do want to use this and this. But I'm gonna get to the pros and cons versus the Nasher and the Shrike in a second. Stagger damage on hit, and then decreases duration of wounded status by 50%. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been wounded. Maybe that's an overstatement. Probably is, but I don't know, man. I just haven't really. I don't think I've ever been wounded. Maybe it isn't something that appears on your top left corner, but I don't know. So versus the quill shot. Hold on, let me craft this up. I'm doing a pros versus con thing. So quill shot. 20% damage versus wounded parts. Only good if one of the people in your party is using a spear, in which case doing wounded is not enough, or in which case it's rarer to wound a part than it is to just dodge. So I view this as more useful. 20% damage versus wounded parts. I don't have a jagged tail spike. And I can't tell what cells this has. So this is +5 wound damage on hit. So it's more, I guess, fit for spears. Reduces shell shock, explosion damage, and status effect duration by 10%. Nah. Quill shot armor, in my opinion, isn't very worth it. Even the cells, you can get just as good cells to the Nasher, the combination of the Shrike and Nasher. So Nasher reduces duration of wounded status by 50%. Another reason why I wouldn't use these, although I believe these do have defense cells. Yeah, see, you can put a 9th life on here. 9 lives cell. So, I'd still use the Shrike. And then Shrike chestplate. Let me show you what the Shrike helmet has. It has a technique cell, which, yeah, is not as good as a defense cell because no 9th lives. I get that, but the dodge and vulnerability windows, in my opinion, makes it worth it. And then the Shrike down plate. It's this type of cell. Mind you, the Nasher cloak. You can equip a 9 live cell. Now, yeah, that's why I equip the Nasher cloak and the Nasher cloak. Also, if you're looking at my guy's face saying, "Oh my gosh, that's hideous," yeah, I know, I did it on purpose. I'm completely aware of that. Yeah, anyways, so the cells, as you can see, defense cells. That's why I use this when I'm fighting a quill shot. But if I'm fighting a Shrike or something, if I'm fighting a Shrike or something along that power level or lower, then I'm using the Shrike down plate. And I show off his weapon, the Shrike's weapons that are based off it. I'm not gonna do the pros and cons versus the Shrike and quill shot, because I think I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. It's gonna turn into this like a 20-minute video, which I guess is actually probably why you're here, but sure, why not? Anyway, Shrike, quill shot, Nasher. What's different? Shrike. This is the hammers, or let me go to the swords first. Shrike. It's +75 part damage on next hit after dodge. So the Shrike set is basically trying to base you off. Can you dodge? Yes. Okay, you're getting a bonus. It's basically what that's off, and I can dodge pretty good now. So yeah, I'm gonna do this. I like using the Shrikes, and plus it's better than what the Quillshot and Gnasher have anyway. So plus stamina, plus 10 stamina and regeneration, which is pretty useful when you're using the sword, because you know the ting 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 combo attack. And then unique effect, plus 75 part damage on next hit after dodge, which is pretty good. It's nothing huge, but it's pretty good. But it's a mildly good bonus. And Quillshot converts 30% of part damage to wound damage. Why? You're using a sword. Why? That's my opinion of it. Also, it looks like a club and you swing it like a sword. Should actually add clubs to this game, like baseball bats, and act like baseball bats. Anyways, plus 5% damage to enraged behemoths. Since the enraged status doesn't really happen it happens like 2 times, or at most like 5 times when you're fighting a behemoth out of like 15 minutes. So this, in my opinion, is more worth it because of the stamina regeneration and also the part damage on next dash dodge. Anyways, hammer. Gnasher versus Quillshot versus Shrike. Shrike with 75. It's the same thing as the sword. Same thing as the sword. Same thing as the sword. And the same opinion because 30% of part damage to wound damage and you're using a hammer. Why? I'm all about pushing strengths. And if the weaknesses are really bad, then yeah, try to improve the weakness. But why would you make yourself this spread out in terms of damage? That's my opinion. It's my opinion of the thing. Gnasher, same thing. Anyways, Gnasher's raging the chain blades. Shrike versus Quillshot versus Gnasher. Gnasher, same thing. Quillshot, same thing. 30% of part damage to wound damage. Again, why, in my opinion? Why? Shrike is more worth it because the stamina regeneration and the 75 part damage on next hit. Axe, 75, 30. It's the same thing. Same thing for all of them. Same thing for all of them.
Keep your guard.
And yeah, basically the Shrikes are armor. The Shrike helmet and the Shrike chestplate are the best of the neutrals. And then the Gnasher. Actually, no, the Shrike helmet, chestplate, and gauntlets, in my opinion. The best of the neutral, I think. Yeah, Shrike. Bam, bam. No, not the Shrike. I don't know. All 3 of the gauntlets suck. I don't know. If you're using axe, use the Shrike down gloves. If you're using Quillshot, use the or if you're using spear, use the Quillshot gloves. And then if you're just like not using either of those, then use the Gnasher grips. So, but yeah, I would definitely use the helmet, the Shrike helmet and chestplate on anything that's around the Shrike's level. Maybe 1 level higher than it, because the Shrike is power level 4. Helmets, power level 4, or the Shrike's power level 4. So these just work, in my opinion, for him because I'm good enough. But then again, if you're fighting something like the Quillshot, you may want to switch to the Gnasher because he has a defense cell, as opposed to the Shrike set or the Shrike chestplate and helmet, which do not. So yeah, I'd usually use helmet, and a Shrike helmet, Gnasher cloak, Gnasher gloves, Gnasher treads if I don't have any elemental set that goes in my favor. Anyways, thank you for watching. Or at least this is the end of his armor and his weapons.